Some good focus and make all these things that might go into possible performances, lighting and things like that. So I'm terrible at lighting.
Oh, wow. Lighting is subjective.
It's a decorative object, right? We talked about it whether the performance art is embodied, is collective. It's not a person. It could be. So it's better than those objects. Then you can't tell that.
Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. My name is I'm the Artistic Director of Mountain Standard Time Performative Art Festival, and welcome to Day 2 of MST6. It's our great pleasure to welcome W.O.R.K.S Among the Easels, the 40th anniversary edition of this piece. I'm going to let Clive introduce, but just a few notes about the festival. I hope you had a chance to pick up the program so you can see some of the other activities happening during the week. And it was also particularly tomorrow, if you have a chance, at the Old Y Center for Community Organizations. We're going to have performances in the evening by Brandy Gladhill, Champan Apasuk, and Amy Malbuff is here, but she's here. Right next to the space, there's also the Untitled Art Society, has a current exhibition on right now of Chunwa Kathandong and Mary Babcock. There's a number of other things as well, and media has week-long exhibitions. I could spend half an hour talking about that, so I'm just going to let you refer to this guide. But just to talk a bit about some important thank yous we have. A number of organizations have contributed to this festival. MST is an umbrella organization with organizations in Calgary and Lethbridge. I do want to thank the Canada Council for the Arts, the Alberta Arts Foundation, the Alberta Lottery Fund, and Calgary Arts Development. Also our partners of the Fluid Festival and Springboard Dance with their container project, which is happening right now in the East Village. the Community-Wise Resource Center, where our offices are located, Frost Books, Fast Forward, and of course the Royal Canadian Legion. Thank you very much, and I'm going to pass it to Clive.
Thanks, Thomas. I want to thank you again for inviting us to do this. So it's, I've said, we'll do this. We're only doing this once, by the way. You are the only audience in this. We're shooting video to document it, and we won't do it in 40 years' time, probably. I want to thank Johanna Householder, who lives in Toronto, and Matt Rogalsky, who lives in Kingston, for coming out here to join us, as well, of course, as the infamous, famous Terrance Houle, who has agreed to be here. I'm going to ask you to follow along with the program if you don't have one of these little yellow cards. Where's Paul? Come on, Paul. So Paul, we don't want to really go over this history in Calgary, but Paul and I started both performing together in 1972 and also starting both performance and video festivals in Calgary. No matter what we achieved or didn't achieve in terms of quality at the time, what we were able to do was to bring media attention to Calgary in terms of performance art and video too. And Paul and I both wrote articles for Arts Canada, which is the forerunner to Canadian art, and also for Art and Artists in England. So we got a lot of press here. And we battled the local media, even though they treated us really well. There was a frozen pig's head that went somewhere to a particular editor. But I'm delighted to be back with Paul again. We haven't performed together since 1975. So Paul will say a couple of words and then we're going to start.
Yeah, thanks, Clive. It's difficult to know what to say. One thing, I'm really happy to see all these people here, some old friends I haven't seen for a while, and it's just a great occasion. I haven't performed probably in this context for quite a long time. It's not that I haven't been doing stuff, I've been doing a lot of other stuff, but I'm sort of still very much the same person that I was in a certain way when I worked with Clive. And I think that the attitudes that we had about this kind of work, it sort of, in a certain way, becomes part of your life. It's not something that's separated from life activity. And I think that when we were started, that was that kind of attitude that we have. We didn't want to make work that was separated from life. And so tonight we'll be performing some of the works that we were sort of, I would say, I don't know whether it's infamous. Is that the correct word? Known for, maybe, and then there are some new ones. And I'm very happy to welcome and work with these other artists that have come. I think that we all intend to enjoy ourselves and give 100% commitment. Thanks a lot.
I knew he'd use the sports metaphor. I wanted him to say 120%. I do want to recognize Judith Woodrow, who's sitting there, who was one of the original performers of W.O.R.K.S. The other people were Susan Clancy, Rick Holyoke, Ken Jones, and Bill Rowett, sorry. But mostly Paul and I performed together, and we performed in Montreal. So we're going to start off with a performance that we did on Princess Island, and we performed it elsewhere. I perform it with my students every year. It's a great piece by Alison Knowles, and it's called Shoes of Your Choice, and it was written in 1963. And I'll start, and the score for the piece basically says, invite audience members up to a microphone and ask them to describe the shoes that they are wearing, why they like them, why they bought them, and so on. And You have to imagine that this is 1963. This is way before reciprocity, etc. So I'm wearing these shoes that I bought in Kingston. They are half a size too big, so they have some, cushioning material. They are, they seem to work. I mean, they're boring. They're black. There's nothing much really I can say about them except that they're sort of comfortable enough to wear around. So I'm gonna, as you are thinking about coming up to the microphone and describing your shoes, as our partner here, Johanna, is wearing a very nice pair of shoes, would you come up and describe them?
I'm wearing these shoes. These are called my maybe shoes. They were from the original performances of the Clichettes when we lip synced to the song Maybe by the 3 Degrees, which as it turned out, we found out later, was Prince Charles' favorite song. So I decided to wear them and this dress to kind of evoke the period that we're wallowing in. So they were well used. I wore them on stage or in performance hundreds of times. Haven't had them out of the closet in 20 years.
I'm wearing a pair of Blundstones. They're from Australia. I also like wearing these shoes because they make me about 1.5 inches taller, which makes me feel better than being 1.5 inches smaller. And they're easy to maintain. I can put my orthotics in so they don't kill my back when I walk. But I have actually a few pairs of these. Because I thought maybe they'll wear out, but these haven't worn out, so I still wear them. They're not actually good for me, but it's too late to be worried about good or bad. Anybody? Should we volunteer? Yeah, come on. That's good. If you've got an interesting pair of shoes, it would be good too.
They're not so interesting, but they are my dress sneakers, and I wanted to get spiffed up tonight for the performance.
Okay.
These are my shoes that aren't moccasins. They are the shoes that I bought because I buy 1 pair a year. But I buy my daughter tons of shoes. And I like my shoes. I have black shoes also. And they are also about half a size bigger because I need to put some orthotics in it. And they're wide size because my feet are wide. In my previous life, I was a duck.
So the shoes I'm wearing are hiking shoes, which are a hassle when I go in and out of houses because I have to untie all the laces and then tie them all back. So if I'm grabbing a ride with someone else, I'm the one who's stopping them from leaving for at least half a minute. I got these because they're the same model of the ones I destroyed by wearing them. I like to wear my shoes until water's going through. And I'm wearing these because water isn't going through yet, so it's helpful in this weather.
These are my most awesome shoes, and they're really meant to be like this, because coming from Hawaii, but I'm in Calgary now, so they have to have these, and it feels very funky and weird on them. It's suffocating. These, I don't really know where I bought them, because I don't think of them. I think they sort of found me, and they've lived in many, many places with me now, and they seem to be replicating themselves. So I have like a bunch of these that look all exactly the same.
I'd like to talk about my shoes. So I think I found my favorite pair of shoes. I like them because, you know, they don't stink. Yeah.
This is my first boots. I buy shoes made in China, but this boots is my first boots. It's made in Italy. I remember it's 3 years ago at Las Vegas. So I love my shoes because they make me feel a little taller and make me stand up a little bit. So make me feel a little good as well. And it's comfortable, but I have to put like 3 insoles inside in order to fit. Because I normally wear like 5.5, but this pair of shoes like 7. So, thank you. Oh, okay, by the way, I have like shoe fetish. I collect lots of shoes on Facebook.
Okay, speaking of shoe fetish, I don't know how that started, but anyway, I don't mean how it started, but we are going to come now, all of us that are performing, and we are going to ask you for your shoes. And we are going to display them in front of you in what we hope will be a very aesthetic manner. It's called captive audience. It doesn't mean to say that you're captive. It just means to say that if you want to leave, you have to walk into this hallowed space. It's not hallowed. I'm just kidding. And retrieve them. So now we're going to come around to everybody and ask you for your shoes.
We're making a big line. Let's do it line. Okay. This is good.
Why are we doing it? Anyway, let's speak. Okay. So whenever we do
This is right.
We're doing some military work. My father was a sergeant. Thank you very much.
I just don't have one. I wonder if I should bag. Yeah. You wear the bag? Oh. It's the first move. It's the first move in the
Very nice,
bag.
we've got everybody now. Now let's take all these shoes and leave town. Hey? Oh, very nice. Looks like
Okay, now what?
Oh, he's still waiting for it, isn't he?
Somebody was 3 feet.
Somebody with 3 feet. Okay.
Okay, so do we have everybody's shoes?
No.
Everybody,
Say them at the right volume.
do we not give them their shoes? Somebody want to come up to the microphone and tell us why they?
Good. Okay.
Somebody said something about underwear, that's later in the program.
Once the happens, So, this piece is called Bookmusic.
is all about skinny. It doesn't mean
anything. Or sa okapi and it is hardly sayonkani. Or entertaining.
Water.
Water.
Tap water. Low water. High water. Waterfall. Underwater. Watertight. Waterboard. Pass water. Thank you.
Eight-leg dancing is a term that refers to stereotyped art as it exists in the contemporary dance genre. These are work that are performed either for the conceptual, process, or expressive values. It specifically addresses the avant-garde and other experimental modes that demonstrate revolutionary potential in the realm of ideology and perception. However, these work fail in practice because of their attachment to the bourgeois dogma of presentation. In an attempt to seek new expressive forms in the rejection of classical and modern dance dogma, a new stereotype and reaction has established itself. The result is that this art fails not so much in artistic intent, but rather in effect through a lack of social consciousness. Capsuled in space and time by the performance phenomena, the eight-leg dance fails to render public the initial artistic impulse. In consciousness and in practice, it does not establish the social context of the situation. As a result, the mystification of artwork is propagated, while the real relations continue to operate as an uncritical reinforcement of class ideology. However, critical models such as contextual art and socialist theories enable the artist to evaluate his or her work from a sociological point of view, hopefully with practical solutions. These doctrines do not demand that the artist give up the practice of art to work in a factory or to start a militant propaganda campaign, nor is it suggested in this critique, though the value is not to be denied. There is a demand for the artist to continue as an investigator and stimulator of ideological alternatives at the conscious level of responsible social practice. That an artist upon presenting the artwork influences those that perceive the phenomena is unquestionable. This is a sociological fact. Whether expressed as object, metaphor, or performance, the art does not have meaning in itself, but only what is attached to it by those that perceive, in other words, the audience. The performance experience in particular has immediate emphasis of its social nature. The artist suggests the perceptual concern in the impact of presentation.